Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan. Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan Keshigata Vamshibata Dwadashakana Yahasabalila Koila Sri Nanda Nanda Sri Nandaja Shoda Jaya Jaya Gopagan Sri Damadi Jaya Jaya Denu Vatsagan Jaya Vrisha Manu Jaya Kirtida Sundari Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Aviranagari Jaya Jaya Gopishwara Vrindavanama Jaya Jaya Krishna Shaka Matu Dvijara Jaya Rama Ata Jaya Rohini Nanda Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Ashi Jata Jaya Dvija Adni Jaya Naga Kanyaga Bhakti Teja Hara Pailo Govinda Charan Shira Saman Dala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sarva Manura Jaya Jaya Jwala Rasa Sarvarasa Bharakiya Bhaveja Rajate Pracha Shijanava Adapadma Gauri Ashmara Dina Krishna Dasha Kore Nama Sankirtan. All glories to Radha and Krishna, the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three presiding deities in Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinath, and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shamakund, Kund, Govardhan Hill, and the Jamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavan, where Krishna and Balaram display all their childhood pastimes. All glories to Keshigat, where Krishna killed the Keshi demon. All glories to the Vamsivat tree, where Krishna attracted all the gopis to come by playing his flute. Glories to all the 12 forests of Braja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Shri Krishna, performed all his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda Jashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys, headed by Sri Dama, the older brother of Shrimati Radharani and Ananga Manjari. All glories to the cows and calves of Braja. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu and the beautiful Kirtideva. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni, grandmother of Madhu Mangala and Nandi Mukhi, and beloved disciple Devarshi Narada. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Braja. All glories to Gopishwara Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan, to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmana friend, Madhu Mangala. All glories to Ramaghat, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtained the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shyam. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow and conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas, and is propagated in Braja by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Padakiya Bhava, Padamor love. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Shri Janavi-Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go ahead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go to play. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go to play. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bala bala. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktavrinda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktavrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you are welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome for today's class. Yes, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
We are surviving.
Okay.
So I'll put the verse on the screen so we can start.
Okay. Narayana Manaskritya Narayana Narotana Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraya Nasta Prayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhakti Bhavati Nistiki Vede Ramayani Jaiva Purane Bharati Tata Ado Antra Jamade Jahari Sabhati Mokam Karotiva Chalam Kangu Langarjegri Yakripataham Vande Sri Guru Natari Paramananda Madhava Rama Prajitu Katavota Paramboli Masam Satam Vedam Vastavam Matavado Sivadanta Toyo Modanam Shima Bhagavate Mahamani Kite Kiva Para Isvara Sadhu Avarudhyatitra Katipita Keshanam Egana Kapata Bikalitam Kalam Sukamuka Jalasanditam Pibatam Bhagavatam Rasamalaya Muhura Rasika Bhudabuka Yashavashyamanaya Krishna Paramapursha Bhakti Utavade Sasuka Moa Baya Baya Atoyam Brahma Sutradam Bharatata Vinaya Kayati Basha Koso Vidata Paribhimita Sarabhidetiya Sanam Saram Saram Paribhimita Sabidatam Sarahesi Bhavatam Istati Parashamita Shati Pashana Yatya Sharati Kwati Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. So I am glad to be back here in the forum, communicating with the very nice, all the wonderful devotees here on our African forum. So first, I just read the text, today's text, which is the chapter 8, first canto Bhagavatam, text 12, the prayers of Kunti. So today, the text about the Ashwatthama who had sent the Brahmastra to kill the embryo within the womb of Uttara, and also sent from the same arrow which he had sent, also sent 5 additional arrows to kill the Pandavas. So that we're going to be discussing this afternoon here in India, because it's morning time over there in West Africa, Europe, and much more early morning if you're in America. So I just read the text. Tayeva tamani shreshta pandabha panchasayakam atmano vimukam dittam alaksyasya alaksyasthranupadadyo. Tari, then, Eva also, Ata, therefore, Muni Shrestha, O chief amongst the Munis. Pandava, all the sons of Pandu, Pancha, 5, Sayakam, weapons, Atmanam, own selves, Abhimukam, towards, Diktam, glaring, Alakshya, seeing it, Ashrani, weapons, Upadabihu, took up. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. O foremost among the great thinkers, Munishrestras, Sunaka, seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. The purport, the Brahmastras are finer than the nuclear weapons. Ashwatthama discharged the Brahmastra simply to kill the Pandavas, namely the 5 brothers headed by Maharaj Yudhishthira and their only grandson, who was lying within the womb of Uttara. Therefore, the Brahmastra, more effective and finer than the atomic weapons, was not as blind as the atomic bombs. When the atomic bombs are discharged, they do not discriminate between the target and others. Mainly the atomic bombs do harm to the innocent because there is no control. The Brahmastra is not like that. It marks out the targets and proceeds accordingly without harming the innocent. Gurave Gurachandaya Radhikaya Krishna Ya Krishna Bhattaya Tatpataya Namo Nama Agyana Timidasya Gana Gana Salakaya Jaksusmita Yanatasma Sri Gurave Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna 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 Shrimati Bhakti Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharya Maybe says a Sunyabadi Paskita Vishtari Panchakapatarabhyas Cha Kripa Sundhi Devi Cha Patita Pavana Pure Vaishnava Namo Namo Hare Baha Mani Shrestha Pandava Panchasayakam Atmano Vimukha Adiptan Alakshya Strani Upadagahu. O foremost among the great thinkers in minutes, Sonaka, saying the glaring Brahmastra, proceeded towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. So again, I'd like to welcome everybody for being here. So it's very interesting. This chapter 8 of Bhagavatam, first canto, it's a very, very interesting chapter because so many wonderful topics are discussed in this chapter. Because this is the main focus, of course, is the devotee of the Lord, devotee of Lord Krishna, and their protection by the Lord. In this case, we are talking of the Pandavas. Even though the Ashwatan, he had done such a heinous act. Of course, previously, as has been discussed in the previous chapter of this canto, how Ashwatthama, how he had killed the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas, and then Arjuna tried to kill him, but he was forbidden to do so by Draupadi because she felt compassionate for Kripi, who was the mother of Ashwatan, because she did not want her to be lamenting because of the death of her son. After all, the father had been killed in the battlefield. So Arjun, he had to, on one side, Bhima, he wanted Ashwatthama to be killed because of what he has done. And on the other side, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Draupadi, they said, no, do not kill him. So Arjun, he wondered what he should do in order to pacify both his brothers and Draupadi. How to achieve this. So Lord Krishna then said, okay, the best way to punish a Kshatriya is to do it in a way so that even though it's not killed, but it will be as if it's killed itself. It will be as if it's killed. So in this way, so Ashwatthama was, his head was shaped up. His head was shaped up, and some tuft of hair, some little hair were left in between. Some 7, like different spots were left on top of his hair. So this is very, very, of course, very, very humiliating for someone, for Kshatriya. His head was shaved up and left something in behind, in between. And then Aswatthama was let go because of this. So this is a very big humiliation for Ashwatthama, that he had been humiliated this way. So, and of course, his potency had not been removed up to that time, because after all, his potency was still in his head. He had Ashwatthama, he has a jewel on his head, which actually gave him more power. So because of this, so Ashwatthama, so he came back to avenge this insult which had been given to him, this deep, deep humiliation which had been given to him. So this, we're going to be discussing about this in this discussion here. But some of the things which I want to point out in this text is that this chapter, it discusses 4 topics. 4 topics are discussed in this chapter. The one topic is the burning up of Parikshit. The Ashwatthama released a weapon, atomic weapon, to kill Parikshit in the womb of his mother, the embryo. So that is one, the burning up of Parikshit. And then the second topic is the protection which was given by the Lord himself, the protection of the Lord. And then the praise which was rendered, describing the Lord as the Lord of wonderful action. Just like initially, when Uttara, she came running to the Lord. She came running and saying, Pahi Pahi Mahayogi, Deva Deva Didapati. Oh my Lord, give me protection, give me protection. Give me protection. After all, no one else in this world is able to give protection. After all, everyone is overcome by duality, by fear. Everyone is constantly under the fear factor. Because everyone is under the duality by which everyone is always waging war against each other, trying to find out how to overcome one's enemy. So that is the nature of this material world. But my dear Lord, you are different from that. So Deva Deva means you are the Lord of all lords. The Lord of all lords, Jagat means that you are the Lord of the universe. And also you are Abhaya. Abhaya is the another attribute of the Lord, which means the Lord is completely free from fear. The Lord is not, after all, he's the supreme Lord. So how could it be fear? How could it be afraid of anything? Just like in his pastimes here in Vrindavan, when Lord Krishna came 5,000 years ago, and he was performing so many wonderful activities. And part of those activities was killing of so many, many demons. Actually, from the time Lord Krishna appeared, from his childhood, as a baby, from that time, the demons were coming to try to harm him. And the Lord was killing them, Putana was there, Sakatasura was there, Trinavata was there, all these very, very powerful demons. But the Lord was killing them effortlessly. When these demons come, the Lord was not afraid of them, he has no fear. But his concern was simply these pathetic demons who thought they could kill that person who cannot be killed. So the Lord's concern was simply that. So the Lord will kill them effortlessly, and at the same time, he will also give them liberation at the same time. So, because the Lord is, after all, is very, very merciful. So the praise is being given to the Lord that way. And as of the wonderful description of the wonderful Leela of the Lord, the descriptions of his Leela, by which we're going to hear in the prayers of Queen Conte. And of course, the main bulk of this chapter is the prayers by Queen Conte, which is very, very beautiful prayers. That it actually sums up the Lord's, his affection to his devotees, how the Lord gives delight to his devotees. So Lord Krishna is known as Bhakta Vatsala, which means is the he has a special affection for his devotees, very special affection. Yeah, even though in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita location said that it says Samohan Sarvabhuteshu, that he is equal to every living entity. He said Samohan Sarvabhuteshu, I am equal to everyone and all. So the Lord actually, he has no preference. After all, every living entities come from him. Every living entity, every jiva is part and parcel of the Lord. All the living entities, they come from Tatastha Shakti, the Lord's marginal potency. So every living entity comes from him. So therefore, he has no favorite. He has no particular partiality. However, because of his devotees' special devotion to him, the Lord's devotees, they never go against the will of the Lord. They never go against his will. They are always, absorbed in meditating on the Lord, and rendering loving devotional service unto him. They never see the Lord or his creation as the object of his enjoyment, but rather they see themselves as the one to be enjoyed by the Lord. So that's the difference. So therefore, the Lord is called Bhakta Vatsala. He has a special affection for his devotees. And this is not nothing. Just like in every kingdom, let's say in a country, you find that some special citizens, they were always been given like a special award, like a night or whatever it is, some special award by which some special citizens are always been given, because these citizens, they perform some extraordinary, some special activities for the nation. Therefore, the ruler, they normally very happy with them, and then they give them a special recognition. So the Lord, for his devotees, his dear loving devotees, he gives special recognition for his devotees. So therefore, it's called, it's known as Bhakta Vatsala. Very, very special affection for his devotees. And then another special, now, and of course, there are different types of devotees. There are all kinds of different grades of Lord's devotees. Because again, devotees are not all the same. We have first-class devotees, second-class devotees, third-class devotees. So those topmost devotees of the Lord, who actually have deeper love for the Lord, you can just imagine. So the Pandavas, they are called Bhagavad Deya. The Pandavas are called Bhagavad Deya. They specifically belong to the Lord, Bhagavad Deya. So which means wherever the Pandavas are, the Lord is always there for them. The Pandavas. They are very, very special devotees. They are not ordinary devotees. Srila Sanatana Goswami, he had written a very wonderful scriptures called the Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So in this book, in the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, which is in the first chapter, in the first canto of the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, so it was describing of how Narada Muni, he was going from different devotees He will go from different devotees, and he will observe how each of these devotees is performing devotional activities. Let's say deity worship, the worship of the Brahmanas, many things like that. And so Naradaji, he will observe all these devotees, he will say, and he will observe and he will see how dedicated these particular devotees is. So Narada Muni will go to that devotee, he will say, oh, my dear devotee, my dear doctor, you are so exalted. You have received the Lord's mercy. You are the recipient of the Lord's mercy. Just by observing your activities, I can see that yes, you are the recipient of the Lord's mercy. So in this way, Narada Muni will be glorifying these devotees. But this devotee will say, no, my dear Lord, my dear Narada, how can you say this? What kind of devotion do I have? I don't have any devotion. Whatever I am doing, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. So if you really want to know, you want them to see who is a real devotee of the Lord, you go to this person. You go to this person. Especially when Nalamuni, at the time he was in Haridwar, when he saw a Brahmana who was worshipping the Salagram Shila. Then he told the Brahmana, this Brahmana told the Nalamuni that yes, if you want to see a real devotee of the Lord, you go to this particular king. And you see that in this kingdom, you will see how he has dedicated everything to the Lord. So Narada Muni went to the king, he saw his devotional activities. And then again, because it's a very long story, all the way to when Narada Muni was going, he went to the heavenly planet, he talked to Indraji, to Indra. Indra said that thought that Indra is a great devotee. After all, the Lord himself is personally residing in his palace as Vaman. But again, Indra said that, oh, I cannot be a devotee. I cannot be the best devotee of the Lord, the best. So Indra then sent Narada that a real devotee of the Lord is Brahmaji, is Lord Brahma. You know. And then from Lord Brahma, then it was to Lord Shiva, and then from Lord Shiva to Prahlad, from Prahlad to Anuma, and then to the end of it, to the Pandavas. Because the Pandavas, all their activities, everything for them, because the Lord is their everything, all their meditation, all their object of attention, all the object of the activities, it's simply the Lord. For example, when Narada Muni arrived at the palace of the Pandavas, at that time, was after the battle of Kurukshetra. The Pandavas, they have gotten they got their kingdom back. All their enemies have been killed. They've been all destroyed, and the Lord had gone back. The Lord, he had gone back to Dwarka. So the Pandavas, along with the Pandavas, Mother Kunti, Kunti, and Draupadi. So they were wondering among themselves that, oh, the Lord has gone, the Lord Krishna has gone now. Now our kingdom is empty. How can we bring him back? How can we bring him back here? How can we again have this darshan? So they were saying, maybe we should devise a calamity. If we devise a calamity, then this will propel Lord Krishna to come back to us. Because, throughout the Mahabharata, the Pandavas, they went through so many calamities, so many troublesome things. But each time they said, hey, Krishna, each time they call on Krishna, immediately Krishna will appear. Immediately Krishna will appear. When they were in the forest, or when Draupadi, when her dress was when she was being disrobed in the palace of the Kauravas, and she was totally helpless. So since upon Krishna, so the moment, even though the Lord was far away somewhere else, immediately the Lord appeared, Lord Krishna appeared, and became unlimited sorry to protect the Draupadi. So in this way, so the point of what they're saying that let some calamity come so that the Lord will come to us. Because which means they say that the way by which they can always have the lost darshan is by them, they'll have some calamity so that the Lord can come. And this is what gives them happiness, not their kingdom which they have. So therefore, the Pandavas, they are being addressed as Bhagavate, they are belonging to the Lord. And Lord Krishna said that he said, the Pandavas are my very self. So, Lord Krishna, the Lord, being described as being Bhakta Vasala, is very, very affectionate to his devotees. And his affection is such that even the Lord said, even if one of my limbs is found to be, offensive to a devotee, he said, I'm ready to cut off that limb of mine. If my limb become inimical to a devotee. Now, a good example of this is Narakasura. So Naraka was actually the son of the Lord. He was actually the Lord's son, because when the Lord incarnated as Varaha, so the Lord incarnated as Varaha, and during that incarnation, he had a union with Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth. So he had a union with Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth, and then his son was produced. So Narakasura was produced from the union of Varahadev and Bhumi Devi. However, this Narakasura, he was exemplary, of course. After all, he was the son of the Lord. He was very, very exemplary, and he was always very, very devoted to the Brahmanas, the Vaishnavas. But somehow, he had a wrong association. He had a bad association. See, that's one thing. Your association is very, very important. Because with bad association, even though you may be good before, but with bad association, you can become corrupted. Just like yesterday, somebody was being discussed yesterday that sometime, yesterday we didn't talk about the politics. That what happened if you want to do politics, this may be good or whatever. But in terms of the money politic, the chance of wrong association is there. And because the chance of wrong association is there, one tends to become what that person that one is associating with. One's character become just like them. So when Narakasura, so he was associated with the wrong people, with those who are very crooked and all that. So he became like them. So when he became like them, and then he became inimical to the Vaishnavas. He became inimical to the Brahmanas. So as such, what happened? So because he became inimical to the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, so the Lord had to kill him, even though he was his own son. So the Lord killed him. So you can just see this thing. So the Lord is very, very affectionate to his devotee. So in this text, we are reading of how the Pandavas, they took up the weapons. Because why? Ashwatthama, he had released Brahmastra. He had released a Brahmastra weapon. So why is it called Brahmastra? Because Brahmastra is the weapon of Lord Brahma. Brahma is Lord Brahma. Astra means weapon. There are three main weapons which are considered to be supreme weapons. So Brahmastra is one of them. It's Lord Brahma's own weapon. And then there is a Pasupati Astra. Pasupati Astra is the weapon of Lord Shiva. So this weapon, this Pasupati Astra, this weapon is actually, Lord Shiva used this during the cosmic annihilation. And then another weapon, of course, is Narayana Astra. It's owned by Lord Narayana himself. So Brahmastra is owned by Lord Brahma. Pasupati Astra is owned by Lord Shiva. And Narayana Astra is owned by Lord Narayana. So these three weapons, yeah, only very highly qualified warriors know the secret of how to use these three weapons. If that is if they are given, if they are endowed with the potency to use this weapon, because it's only done by mantras. It's not like it's not something. It's not like there's a big. It's not like a big arrow or some big. So it's only done by mantra only, because even with a blade of grass, one can send one can send one of these weapons. Only by chanting the particular mantra, and then one can send this weapon to the particular target. Just only through the chanting of mantras only. Just by taking the grass, chanting mantra, and then you send to the particular target. And these weapons, they cause the particular destruction or whatever it is. However, these weapons are rarely used. Actually, in the history of the Vedic narrations, stories, these weapons actually ever used. Brahmastra is more common, but is very, very hardly used, this Brahmastra. Even on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, so many fighting was going on, and there are so many qualified, very, very powerful warriors like Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Satyaki, so many powerful warriors who are excellent, who are experts in all kinds of warfare. They know all the weapons. They know all the mantra, Brahmastra, all the weapons are there. I do not, but this weapon is never used. Why? Because these weapons can cause universal devastation. And of course, the Brahmastra is such that, just like the Prabhu is explaining here in the purport, that this is like a nuclear weapon. Just like when during the World War II, America, they sent nuclear bomb to Japan. So they dumped the nuclear bomb to Japan, and then the whole city was wiped out. Nagasaki or Hiroshima, by which thousands of innocent people were died. And of course, this nuclear weapon is in a mode of time also, it's a mode of passion. But the Brahmastra is actually the ultimate weapon. And this Brahmastra is done by which a specific target can be aimed at. It can be used to cause a massive devastation, or it can be used to go to a specific target. And this was what Ashwatthama was doing. So Ashwatthama, his purpose was to neutralize the Pandavas and their future generations. That was his purpose, to neutralize them. Because that the Pandavas, they killed the Kauravas. Was dear friend of Ashwatthama. So Acharya and all the Pandavas and all the Kauravas, they've all been killed. So Ashwatthama, he wanted to, of course, his father was killed. Then on top of it, he was humiliated by the Pandavas, by his head being shaved up. So Ashwatthama, he wanted to neutralize the Pandavas. So, and he knew that because knowing the roots of the pandas that within the womb of of Uttara being who's the mother of correction. So first of all, he sent this weapon to the womb of Uttara to kill the child. So which means he just want to, like abortion, like a forced abortion. So he wanted to kill the child without harming the mother. Just want to kill the child. Is that the one? So such a science, it's impossible to the science of killing a baby inside in the womb of his mother without harming the mother inside. Such a science, methodical science, is impossible in modern scientific realm. It is impossible. So modern scientific realm, they cannot even conceive, they cannot even think of this. So because the modern scientific realm, the only thinking of how to cause the devastation. So first of all, the weapon was sent, and to kill the embryo that is within the womb of his mother. So Uttara Devi, she saw this weapon coming, so she immediately ran to Lord Krishna. She ran because that time Lord Krishna was about to depart for Dwarka. He was about to leave. He was already sitting on his chariot, but he saw Uttara running. She was running towards him, shouting, "Pahi Pahi Mahayogin, Deva Deva Jagapate, protect me, protect me, protect me." So when we are in trouble in this world, who else can we call upon? Who else can we call upon? We can only call upon Krishna only. When we are in trouble, we can only call upon the Lord. Just like we often chant, Krishna, 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 Pahi Nam. Krishna, 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 Pahi Nam. Krishna, Kesava, Krishna, Kesava, Krishna, Kesava, Rakshana. Rakshana is the same. Raksha is the same as Pahi. Pahi means give me protection, protect me, protect me, protect me. Mahayogi, Deva Deva Mahayogi. Because in this world, there may be so many yogis who are there. But the topmost yogi, Yogeshwara, is Lord Krishna. He is the yogi among the yogis. He's the topmost yogi. And he's the one who can only give us the ultimate protection. So that's why the devotees have no other shelter except the Lord himself. After all, like Uttara Devi, she did not go to her father-in-law that, oh, this weapon is coming. Her father-in-law being Arjun, she did not go there. She immediately ran to Lord Krishna, my Lord, protect me. She was running, even though her dress was even, as she was running towards the Lord, even though her dress was even falling off, but she was totally unconcerned about that. She just wanted this protection. However, just like in the following verse, she said that, oh my dear Lord, I do not mind if this weapon, kill me, but I want this baby to be protected. I want this baby to be protected. Even though this weapon may burn me, I do not mind. But this baby should be protected. Why is that? Because this baby that is within the womb is a great devotee of the Lord. Is the Lord's great devotee. So, even though, yes, Uttara Devi herself, this is the Lord's great devotee. It's a great devotee of the Lord. But a devotee do not have so much concern for their own safety. A devotee is ready to undergo any kinds of trouble, but they are ready to sacrifice everything for the sake of others. Just like when Lolita Nanda was hit on the head with a broken pot by Madai. So Lolita Nanda was hit on the head by Madai on the broken pot. Because the Lord, Lolita Nanda was trying to preach to him that, my dear, Madai, you know, Kahagoranga, Lahagoranga, you know, Majagoranga, Lahagoranga, Namagoranga. He said that, my dear Mitai, chant my Lord's name, worship my Lord. Learn something about the Lord and make your life perfect. Lord needs another was trying to do good to him, but because this fellow was so drunk, he could not hear, he could not listen to the preaching that was coming to him, but instead he took a broken pot and smashed it on the head of Lord Nityananda. So when devotees, when they immediately went to call upon Lord Chaitanya that yes, a mad fellow had attacked Lord Nityananda. So the Mahaprabhu came along with his associate. He came to the spot and was coming with his Sudarshan chakra, ready to kill this Jagan Madai. But Nityananda said, no, don't kill. This is not your mission. Your mission is not to kill the demons in this age, in this incarnation. This is not your mission. Your mission is to kill the demoniac mentality, not to kill the demon. This is not why you have descended. This, I'm not affected at all, even though this broken part of my head, I'm not affected at all. My concern is that please, you give your mercy to these fallen souls. So she was not, Mami Lonitananda was not concerned about the broken pot, which had been, the pot which has been smashed on his head. He was concerned about the liberation of these fallen souls, Jagai and Mother. He was concerned for their liberation. So as devotees, they do not really pray for their own protection. They just say that, yes, this, and if the devotees are in trouble, so a devotee, they are ready to make all kinds of sacrifice to give protection to the lost devotee. So Uta Devi, she was praying, my dear Lord, I do not mind if I'm burnt, if I'm killed by this weapon that is being sent by Ashwatthama. But my Lord, you are all pervasive. You are omnipotent. You're omnipotent. So you can give protection to this child because I'm fully convinced of your potency. I'm fully convinced of your potency. So you can give protection to this child. So when this Brahmastra was sent to Uttara to kill the baby, the same weapon was again replicated with 5 additional arrows. The 5 additional arrows. So originally, Ashwatthama sent one to kill one weapon to kill Parikshit in the womb of his mother. Again, the same weapon is replicated again replicated into 5 additional arrows to kill the 5 Pandavas. So which means Ashwatthama just want to finish the job entirely. He has sent his ultimate weapon to not only to kill the baby in the womb, also to neutralize the Pandavas, because he wants the Pandavas to be phased out from the surface of the earth. So he wants to kill them all at once, so that the universe or the planet will have nothing but the Pandavas again. So this was his intention. So here in this text, we're reading of how the Pandavas, they took up their weapons. So these 5 arrows were coming to them. So they took out their weapon to protect themselves, to defend themselves. against, to defend themselves against this arrow that is coming at them. So now, according to some other commentator on this verse, so there are many considerations by which the Pandavas, by which they took up the weapons to protect themselves, to fight this oncoming arrow. Because the thing is that Brahmastra weapon is actually indefensible. You can't really defend yourself. Once it's released to a particular target to someone, that person is finished. It cannot be, the Brahmastra must always have to fulfill its goal because it's the ultimate weapon coming from the Brahma. So the Pandavas, so they saw this weapon coming, and they don't just, they know that, okay, if they have to die, which is the possibility, because this weapon is coming, that they have to put up a fight against it. They have to put up a fight against this weapon. So they have to put up a fight because according to the Kshatriya rules, according to the scriptural rules, if a Kshatriya dies on the battlefield fighting, the Kshatriya will go to the higher planet. We go to the heavenly planet. If a Kshatriya dies fighting, we'll go to the heavenly planet. Because a Kshatriya, that's what it means. He must fight with a weapon. Then they go to, just like on the battle of Kurukshetra, every single person who died on the battle of Kurukshetra, they all went to the heavenly planet. They all attained the higher planet because they do so by fighting. So the Pandavas, so they took up the weapon that, okay, if we have to die, we shouldn't just die by not protecting ourselves, because if you don't make attempt to protect ourselves, we may end up in some other wrong situation. It's not recommended for Kshatriya. So therefore, they took up their weapons and they are ready to fight these oncoming arrows, and also at the same time also try to. So they took different weapons, as in, like Arjun, he knows Brahmastra, he knows how to counteract the Brahmastra. So he knows that, and of course his brother Bhima, Bhishma, Yudhishthira, Sahadev, Sahadev, and I forgot the last one.
Nakula.
So, yeah, Nakula. So they may not be so expert in the use of Brahmastra. So, but they also took their weapons in order to defend themselves. So that, if they have to die ultimately, at least they will go to heavenly planet. So this was their intention of taking up the weapon. And of course, as we're going to read in the next text, the Lord had to exhibit his own energy, so much so that he has to exhibit his own, so much so that this Brahmastra weapon, which was sent from Ashwatan, was not even contracted at all. The Lord simply had to exhibit his potency so that this Brahmastra that is coming from Ashwatan will be futile. Will be futile in its effort. So of course, Ashwatan, being a very genius person, he lost his senses. So even though it's not really described in this chapter, it's not described in this chapter of Bible time, because the main focus is the Lord's affection to his devotees, and this is the main focus of the prayers of Koikonti. When she started singing, saying, Namaste Purusha Dwadam Ishwaram Bhakti Param Abhajan Savabhutanim Antabhaya Abhasita. Very beautiful prayer that Koikonti made to Lord Krishna. Very beautiful prayer. This chapter is actually one of my favorite chapters of the Bible. And of course, Srila Prabhupada, there's a book, because Srila Prabhupada gave a very extensive lecture on the teachings of Koikonti. And these lectures were made into a book, very nice book called The Teachings of Koikonti. every devotee, if you haven't read it, you should definitely read that book if you have not read it. So the Ashwacham, because of this, so his weapon became futile. And then the Lord also became angry with him. And then the Lord, of course, caused him, took up his jewel that is on his forehead, and caused him to become a wandering, unaccompanied, wandering throughout the mountains. He'll be wandering, he have no accompaniment, nobody will be alone, solitary, wanderers, until the end of the Kali Yuga. So this was the cause that was led on to him. This narration is there in the Arivamsa, some other pronunciation. So I'm going to stop here. Again, the text is that the Pandavas, so Sutta Goswami is addressing Sonaka Rishi that, oh, my dear great thinkers, my dear Muni, saying the glary Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. So this is basically the list of these steps. We are reading here about the glory of the Lord's devotees and the affectionate of the Lord upon his devotees. Okay, so thank you for listening. If there's any question.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class and the narrations. It's always wonderful. This is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, because you have the opportunity to go to different planets while on this particular planet. You start hearing so many pastimes of activities of the great personalities from different planets of the world. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. We have questions from, I have a question, but I will allow Ganga Prasad Prabhu to ask his question first, then I'll come after him, and then followed by other devotees. Ganga Prasad Prabhu, please submit.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandawa Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. Congratulations that you survived the tsunami of COVID. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Thank you very much for the class. It is very mind-boggling, and it exhumes series of questions. I don't know if you have time to take all of them, but let me start with one. The first question is, when Ashwatthama released the first Brahmastra in the preceding chapter, that's the previous chapter, the son of Drona, punished. And Krishna went with Arjun, and Arjun observed the cloudiness and darkness and all of this, and asked Krishna, what is this? And Krishna told him what has transpired. Krishna made Arjun to counteract that Brahmastra. Here now, Krishna is not, it's like a combo question. Here, they raise their arms, but it was not used. But then Krishna also did not give go ahead for them to use it. Rather, Krishna personally nullified, specifically, he didn't say about what happened with the Pandavas, but the baby in the womb, barricade. Krishna went into the womb, Krishna counteracted the Astra coming to the womb. So my question is two-sided. How did the Pandavas get protected when they did not use their weapon, but they just raised it? And why did Krishna take it upon himself to do the service directly when he has able-bodied devotees to do this? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So and of course, one thing about the COVID, we're still in a very, very big onslaught here in India. So we are actually free. We are still in a very big onslaught here. So anyways, Krishna has manifested himself. It's another Krishna universal form, COVID. Let's just consider it as Krishna universal form. That's where we should say it.
Kavichandra Maharaj said is Krishna Corona Sindhu. It's Corona Sindhu.
So anyway, Yeah, as you have asked, when the Lord he released his own weapon, the Lord took Sudarshan Chakra. And from there, simultaneously, the Pandavas, because when there's a release of Sudarshan Chakra, what happened? All other weapons run away. They don't come near. But Brahma Soko cannot come near it. Just like, you know, we read in the ninth canto Bhagavatam when Devasamani released a weapon to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And then the Lord sent a Sudarshan Chakra after Ambarish Maharaj, after Devasamani. So Sudarshan Chakra, first of all, killed the demon, which was
Fiery demon.
Well, the fiery demon, which was produced by Devasamani. And yet, Devasamani is Lord Shiva incarnation. It's actually a partial, it's an expression of Lord Shiva. It's not an ordinary person. But the Sudarshan Chakra immediately completely neutralized that demon, and then was going after Devasamani himself. So when there's a lost weapon, everything has become completely neutralized. So when the Lord release of his, because the Lord does not want to see his devotees in trouble. The Lord gives protection. So the Lord didn't just say, okay, now you Pandavas, now you fight this Brahmasura, but it's coming to you. So the Lord did not, he saw it simply, especially Uttara had come running to him. He said, my dear Lord, I do not care for my own self, but please protect your devotee. Your devotee is inside your home. So the Lord cannot refuse his devotee. The Lord cannot refuse. So the Lord has a very deep affection for his devotees. So by the release of his weapon, his Sudarshan Chakra, so ultimately the baby was saved. And the same time, actually, the baby was saved. At the same time, the Sudarshan Chakra, the weapon that is coming to the Pandavas, they also immediately got neutralized. They become ineffective that way. So this is exactly what happened. So the Pandavas did not have to fight or did not have to use this. So the Lord's in this way, the Lord's glory was proclaimed, was known by this act of God. His glories and his special protection of his devotees was there. The devotee is always protected by the Lord. There's no doubt about that. The devotee is always under the Lord's protection. So,
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Is that okay, Ganga Prabhu? Is that okay?
I appreciate. Yes, I have other questions, but let me follow protocol.
Okay.
Okay, we'll call you back. I have a question, Prabhu. In the course of your lecture, you described three weapons, astras, Brahma Astra, Narayana Astra, and Puspaka Astra, belonging to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Narayana. Yeah. So, but these astras that they are known, but I'm wondering in Kali Yuga, we have a practical experience, especially in Africa, that some people also have some powers to be able to send weapons. Of course, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport about the Western bomb and nuclear weapons. They are very blinded one because they go and they destroy both the target and untargeted. But in Africa, we have an experience that there are some powerful personalities who could send just voice. We've seen thunder send to some particular person and it kill that one person and go back. We've seen different kinds of weapons like this, subtle ones that are used in African cultures. So my question is,
including offers.
Exactly. So my question is, which category does these weapons belong? Because they are not physical weapons, they are subtle, and they go directly to the target, and then they go back to the owner. So please enlighten us.
Well, because in every culture of the world, they have certain, way of conjuring up a divine, let's say, extra, extraordinary, extra powerful weapons like subtle weapons, like yes, in our African system we have that. There are also South Americans also they also have that. Different parts of the world they have. Now, of course, nothing like this weapon, this Brahmastra. This, like say in the Vedic, it's called Dano Sastra, weaponry system. There are all kinds of weapons. So many different weapons are there. And each of these different weapons are presided over by different demigods. Just like, Indradev, he has got his own weapon. And this particular weapon is also a very powerful weapon, which he gave to Kana. And Kana was supposed to, this is ultimate weapon was given to Kana. And Kana, his intention was to use this, it's going to be his last weapon to use against Arjuna. However, in order to Gatotkacha, who was the son of Bhima, and was fighting very bravely. He was actually destroying the Kauravas in the army. And he was like undefeatable. He was creating a massive destruction of the Kauravas in the fighting. So Duryodhana went to Kana. He said that, my dear Kana, you have to do something. You cannot let this fellow destroy us. We're going to be all finished tonight. You have to do something about this. Do something. So Kana said, well, even though Duryodhana was again, he was resisting because he had this ultimate weapon which he wanted to use against Arjuna, because this weapon is also a defeatable weapon. But because of insistence of Duryodhana, so he had to take this weapon and use it against Gatotkacha to kill him. I mean, in this way, he was able to kill Gatotkacha. Otherwise, Gatotkacha was undefeatable. So, and there are different weapons there by the Suryadev, by the Agnidev, and all kinds of weapons are there. And the others are solar science. So you will find all these different weapons in different. That's only in the Vedic system, in the Vedic science. But these three weapons, Ashupata the Brahmastra, and of course Narayana, this is their ultimate weapons. No one has them, no one can use them. Only it's a particular gift to specific weapon. And Lord Shiva actually did give Arjuna this weapon, which means a particular mantra. He gave him to use, but Arjuna never used it. Arjuna never used it, of course. Because this is the weapon that is used at the time of cosmic annihilation. So Arjuna could have decided to use it at the beginning of the Battle of Kurukshetra. But Arjuna actually never used it. So these are some of the considerations. But yes, all kinds of weapons are there, but these three weapons, they are the ultimate weapon, which is not really available to it's not available to every soldier. It's not available to every Kshatriya. Okay? So I guess, we can keep discussing about the weapons, but again, the Brahmastra weapon, and of course, and also just like Ashwatan, he knows how to send the Brahmastra weapon, and if you don't withdraw it, it will continue on creating destruction. So you have to be able to withdraw it. So Ashwatan, he didn't know how to withdraw it. It was Arjuna who actually knows how to withdraw this weapon. And that's what the truth that way. The way to neutralize, the way to withdraw a Brahmastra is by releasing another Brahmastra. So Arjuna, he had to release another Brahmastra to counteract this Brahmastra which was sent by Ashwatan. And when both of them collide together, it's a huge fire by which the whole universe was shaking. And as yesterday, he had to come there. He actually held the two weapons on his arm. He held them up in this way, and everything became cooler. So, It's not an honorary weapon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Sadi Prabhu. Sadi Prabhu, please unmute and ask the question.
Okay, General Sahadev.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the class, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. My question has to do with protection. When devotees pray to Krishna for protection, like Mother Kunti, we read in Mother Kunti's prayers, which you said in your lecture that they are very beautiful prayers.
Yeah.
I do not find them beautiful at all, Prabhu.
Yeah.
They are too high for me. But
too high, okay.
They are too high for me, but anyway. But we can see from such prayers that when these great devotees pray for protection, they were also praying for protection of their material body. You know, so sometimes devotees may pray to Krishna for material protection, and other devotees may say to this devotee that you are not supposed to pray for any material things from Krishna. So I just want you to throw a little bit more light on whether devotees are supposed to pray for their material needs from Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna, thank you for your question. Mother Kunti's prayer, they're actually full of course, it's very deep realization, of course. You know. Mother Kunti's prayer, they are full of Krishna Bhakti Ras. Because it focuses on Krishna Lila, which bewilders everyone to think about it. Just like in one of the prayer, whereby Kunti said that when we think of your pastimes, we become very bewildered. This your pastime bewildered us. You know, we see you crying. We see you crying because your mother wants to beat you, because you are naughty. Your mother wants to beat you, and because she has taken a stick, she was chasing you, and we see you crying. And you are all the laws of the universe. We call it the jacket, all the different laws. They are all afraid of you. The demigods, they cannot even come in front of you. All the great universal powers. But here, we see that you become afraid of your mother, run away from her because she wants to beat you and you are crying. So she said that this is just beyond us. This is just totally bewildering to us. This is the conclusion. So, in this way, because he's trying to see focus on the magnificent glory of the Lord's devotees. How the devotees, how they can subdue the Lord himself through love. They can subdue the Lord. Just like there's one very beautiful scripture called the Gopa Jampo. And in this scripture, there's all the descriptions of the Lord's wonderful relationship with his devotees, based on deep love. So, talking about the prayers that you were talking about, if you look at it, just like if you read the prayer of this Uttara prayer, she said that I have no concern about my own body. I don't care if my body is destroyed by this Brahmastra, this weapon being sent by Ashwatthana. But this child, embryo, is your devotee. It's your devotee. So therefore, let your devotee be destroyed, because after all, this devotee will play a very magnificent role in the future to further, spread your glories. So therefore, she wasn't concerned. She was not praying for her own protection. She wasn't praying for her, but she was praying for the Lord's devotees. So normally devotees do not pray for themselves. They do not pray for any. I mean, after all, what did Chaitanya Prabhu say? He said, Madana, Madana Nasundarim, Kavita Vajagatishkamaye, Mama Jamani story, Avata Bhakti Ayatuki Toyi. He said, my dear Lord, I do not want wealth. I do not want followers. I do not want beautiful things, beautiful women, I do not want anything material. What do I want? I simply want to be your servant, birth after birth. I just want to be your devotee, that's all. So devotees, the only prayer of devotees is how they can become the Lord's servant. How their devotional activities can be more intensified. Because after all, our material body is a source of trouble anyway. So why do you have to pray for our material body? That's simply going to give us trouble. So with the devotee's concern is that, okay, because the devotee has surrendered to the Lord, so which surrender to the Lord, which means the devotee surrenders to the will of the Lord. So if the Lord wants to keep this body, that is up to him. That is up to the Lord's will. If the Lord want to keep, if the devotee want to keep the Lord want to keep the Lord's body. So everything according to the Lord's wish. There was a good story one time. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he came on a pilgrimage to Vrindavan. So he came on a pilgrimage to Vrindavan, and then when he arrived in Vrindavan, he became sick. Normally, everyone who comes to Vrindavan becomes sick. Especially if you're coming for the first time, you always have sickness. It can be stomach problem, and everyone who has come to Vrindavan can testify to that. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he became sick. He had a very high fever and all that. So he prayed to the Lord. He said, my dear Lord, I've come here to Vrindavan for bhakti. So therefore, now I've become sick now. My dear Lord, I'm praying to you, please postpone postpone this sickness. Let it be some other time, not now. After all, I'll be unable to fulfill the purpose of my coming here to Vrindavan. So he became better. The sickness was gone. So he was able to do, pilgrimage and all that. And then he explained that then, when he left Vrindavan, getting back to his abode, to his normal place of residence in Puri, so the same sickness came back again in a big bang. He said the sickness came back in a big bang. That yes, after he only prayed to, okay, this sickness, I don't want it now. Let me be able to do this pilgrimage, But again, let this sickness can come back later on. So in this way, so the Lord, the devotees, they do things only according to the Lord's will. And because devotees have particular relation to the Lord, so normally devotees do not pray for any material things. They do not pray for any particular material protection. Their protection is simply that, yes. I mean, just like for example, the Pandavas, the Lord is always coming to them whenever they're in trouble, and they pray to him, and then the Lord will come. Does that mean that because they always pray to the Lord and the Lord is coming to give them protection? No, their prayer is that they want to have the Lord's darshan. After all, devotees are always protected by they're always protected by the Lord anyway. Devotees, they always honor the Lord's protection. But this protection we may not understand if we have materialistic understanding of what is protection given by the Lord, especially if you are so attached to our material body. So the Pandavas praying to the Lord is not for their bodily protection. It's actually for the Lord's darshan, because being the Lord's greatest devotees, they feel constant separation from the Lord. So therefore, devotees, they always want to see the Lord. Without the Lord, they have no life. So therefore, they say, okay, let trouble come, let calamity come, so that the Lord can come to us. So I don't will be able to see him. So the Pandavas' prayer is because so that they can have the Lord's blessing, not for the protection of their material body or not for the aggrandizement of their materialistic needs. So this we should understand. If you want to pray for material things, pray to Lord Shiva, pray to Lakshmi Narayan. If you want to attain pure bhakti, don't pray for any material needs to Krishna. And of course, now it doesn't mean that devotees have to be destitute all the time. In the beginning of Chaitamrita, the Lord said that if my devotees pray to me for their particular material needs, he said that I fulfill it, but I do it in a way that they don't keep coming back to me again and again. Because our ordinary prayers, we get what we want, then it's something else. But the Lord said, but I reward my devotees in such a way that they don't keep coming back to me again and again. So which means the Lord actually fulfill your desire much more than what you need. But what the Lord actually wants from us is our loving devotional service. It's our love. Not so much, trying to better our situation in this material world. Not so much of that.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Our next question is from Ganga Prasad Prabhu. Ganga Prasad Prabhu, please unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much. So I just needed to do some ascertaining of fact or reconciliation. You said Narayanastra, Brahmastra, and Pashupata that none of them were used during the Battle of Kurukshetra. I wouldn't know, maybe I misunderstood or misread, but Dronacharya had used Narayanastra during the battle, and Krishna counseled the Pandavas that the counteracting or the safety from it is just to bow. But Bhima was not willing to bow. So he said, just quack him so that he can go down a little. That's how to escape it. So I wouldn't know whether my reading was wrong or I just want to reconcile.
Yeah, that is true. I remember that one. But Dronacharya has used that ultimate weapon. And because after Krishna is Narayan himself, he said, well, the way to just pay your obeisances, then Narayanastra will not do anything to you. So, yeah, but that was the ultimate weapon because it come to a point of frustration for Dronacharya. He said, okay, let me finish this battle, and then he used. So this weapon was ultimately used by him, but the weapon did not create any destruction because everyone simply bowed down, paid their obeisances, and then the weapon was gone because afterwards Narayana Astra. Yeah, apart from that, the other weapons, Pasupati Astra never used in the Battle of Kurukshetra. I did not read it. It's not. I read Mahabharata, so I never read it. And also the Brahmastra also was never used. Even though the competent person at the end on the battlefield to use it. Arjuna never used it. Dronacharya himself did not use it. He didn't use Brahmastra. And we have to know that Dronacharya, he was a devotee actually. He was a devotee, But everything, of course, now he had to fight on the opposite side, just to show that the lost devotees, they're always victorious, no matter the circumstance. He did that, he fought on the opposite side, basically just to, it's the last Leela, basically, After all, Lord Krishna is on the battlefield, he was not carrying any weapon, and you have all these great fighters, great warriors, Bhishma Dev, Satyaki, who's actually the commander-in-chief of the commander-in-chief of the Yadus. He was there fighting on the side of the Kauravas also. Then of course you have Kripacharya, then of course Dronacharya, and all these great mighty warriors. So that's why it was mentioned that they're like they are compared to tinigular fish, whereas the Pandava they're just like on fish, and tinigular fish they can swallow up any whales. But the Pandavas they're able to overcome all these things. They're able to overcome all these great mighty warriors. So, but it's all to really explain the glories of the Lord and his devotees, and that the Lord, because wherever there's Krishna, there's, where is devotees, sir? Yata Yogeshwara Krishna, Yata Patodano Daratata Sri Vidavamoti, Dvaniti Mati Mamadat, wherever there's Krishna, wherever there's Arjun, or there will always be victory, opulence, fame, about that. So that is there. So yes, Narayana Ashram was once used by Dronacharya, but that was it. And of course, Dronacharya was happy. He was actually very happy that the devotees they know how to counteract this weapon. That simply pay obeisances, and Narayana Ashram will have no effect on you. So that's what happened. No one was killed on that. Nobody was killed.
Thank you very much. Salika, if you allow me to extend it, Prabhuji, just to buttress the fact, can we liken the this avoidance of offenses to devotees of Vaishnavas or whatever a treatment equivalent to getting Brahmastra, and then that obeisances to ameliorate this? Can we liken it to the path, or just wanted to shed light on it?
Yeah, as I said, that if you offend a devotee, the best way to counteract the offense is by begging forgiveness from that particular devotee. That is the only way to counteract it, to counteract an offense to a devotee, is by knowing that yes, I've been offensive, kindly forgive me. And of course, the devotees are very, very, they don't bear no grudge. Usually they will forgive. That's a devotee's. That's a devotee's. Devotees do not. Even actually, devotees, they never consider themselves as that someone can offend them. A real devotee would never think that someone is offending them. But if you offend the devotees, even though devotee may not retaliate, the Krishna will not tolerate offense of the devotee. Because after all, Lord Krishna said that devotees are my heart. So if I offend to a devotee, it's like Krishna's heart. It's like offending Krishna's heart. So Krishna will not. So as I said, the devotee is the heart of Krishna. So, but again, if we find ourselves being offensive to Vaishnava, then we should be remorseful and beg forgiveness from that particular Vaishnava. Then the Vaishnava, they're very compassionate. They will forgive us, obviously. But we should never think of ourselves that we are so great that we can go on. So yes, offending the Vaishnava, definitely, that's what we call it, mad elephant of offense. It's even worse than the Brahmastra. It's even worse than that. It can create a massive destruction. Create a massive destruction if you offend the devotees. So that's why we should be very, very careful in our devotional activities. Normally in our neophyte stage, we all always offend one another in our neophyte stage. But we have to guide against offending devotees, like offending Vaishnava. And that's why humility is very, very much required of the Vaishnava. Very, very careful. That yes, if you want to do Hari Bhajan, if you want to chant Krishna's name, then you have to be very, very humble, tolerant, always ready to offer respect to everyone, and never expect don't ever expect respect in return. So this is the third Sasastakam. And this instruction is considered to be that every devotee should put this on their neck. This is make into a garland or into an ornament and put around their neck. Then always be humble and not be offensive to other. Then if you do this, then we will not be offensive to other people. We don't assign any particular importance to ourselves. But when we assign particular importance to ourselves, then we can always offend people because within ourselves we are so great. And that's the difference between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Duryodhana. Duryodhana always take himself to be so great, and Yudhishthira Maharaj always take himself to be so low. That's the difference, you can see. So we can actually learn a lot from Mahabharata, all these different personalities. Okay, so don't let's commit bodily offense.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So our next question is coming from Sadi Prabhu. Sadi Prabhu, please kindly unmute and ask your question.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I am somewhat a bit rebellious in the sense that I believe Vedic knowledge is global. It's known to the entire world. It's not only limited to India. But somehow, when something takes place in India, we consider it divine. We call it spiritual. If it happens outside of India, if it happens somewhere in Africa, we say it's demonic, it's devilish. This is like a continuation of Salika Prabhu's question. We have lots, I wouldn't say lots, but we have few people in Africa who are also able to use weapons. I wouldn't be able to refer to them as a Brahmastra or Pashupata or whatever, but they are able to function exactly the way these Brahmastras work. They target the individual and the weapon goes and then harm that particular individual. When that happens in Africa, we call it evil. So my question is, what is the difference? What makes the difference that one is divine and the other is devilish? Hare Krishna.
Well, first of all, I didn't say that whatever happened in Africa is evil, and what happened in India is all divine. I never said that. I did mention that yes, there's different elements of these weapons. This sorrow science, the sorrow weapons. There are different elements of that in various parts of the world. So there is no there's no denying that fact. Again, the Vedic knowledge, there is different aspects of Vedic knowledge. It filters to different parts of the world in different ways. Just like in West Africa, we have the various aspects of demigod worship, and all that. Even though it may not be fully defined, according to what we read from Bhagavatam or something, but still, we have certain element is there. And that's the reason why when Krishna consciousness movement came to West Africa, so it was, there was not a problem in accepting it, because the tradition is already there in terms of demigod worship, the acceptance of the Supreme Lord, the demigods, the god of, like Yemaja, Shango, Disundato, Rodumare, all these things. So it's there. But it's there certainly, of course, the full refinement of that is found in the Vedic system. Because why? Because Vedic system, Vedic knowledge, philosophy is known through approach of a guru. Because through the approach of a guru, it's known. It's not known by just common thing. Yes, there is a tradition. That's what we call it. There's a tradition. This is called parampara system. So this is learned from submitting to the lotus feet of a guru. In the Vedic time, for a student to be accepted by guru, the student must abide by certain criteria. Certain qualification must be there. It's not that just everyone. It's just like when Kana, when he went to Parasuram, that he wanted to be his students. So because Parasuram, he has a very strict requirement that only Brahmana can train under him. He can only train a Brahmana because he himself is a Brahman himself. So he said he can only accept Brahmana. But Kana went to him, he said, I'm a Brahmana. So therefore, please teach me everything. I'm a Brahmana. Teach me everything. So, because Kana went to him that presented himself as a Brahmana, even though he's actually a Kshatriya, they say because he wanted to learn, because no guru is more qualified, is more qualified than Parasura. Because Parasura was also the guru of Vishnu Dev. He also happened to be a Shaktavis. He's also an incarnation of God, of Krishna. So, Parasuram taught Kana everything. But there was one time Parasuram was sleeping, and he rested his head on the lap of Kana. So when he rested his head on the lap of Kana, somehow there was a bug, there was an insect that came to bite the leg of Kana. And this insect was actually eating his flesh. The insect was eating his flesh so much so that so much blood was coming from his leg, from his body. So Kana, being a Kshatriya, he tolerated this. He tolerated it, because his guru was lying on his lap. So he tolerated the biting of his flesh by the insect. So, and the blood that is coming from his body, from his leg, somehow this blood flew onto the body of his guru. So when he woke up, when the guru woke up, Parashuram woke up, and he found blood on his body. So he asked him that, what is this? How come there's a blood on my body? So Kana explained that when you were sleeping, an insect had come was eating my flesh. When you were sleeping, I did not want to disturb you. So therefore, I allowed the insect to do what it's doing. So Parasuram became angry. He said, what did he say? You came to me that you're Brahmana. But actually, you're actually a Kshatriya. So you actually lied to me. Because it's only a Kshatriya that can tolerate something like this. Only a Kshatriya has such tolerance, not a Brahmana. A Brahmana cannot have such tolerance. So therefore, I curse you that a time will come when you will need the mantra the most. At that particular time, you will forget it. You will forget. When you need the most the particular mantra, you will forget it. So, and that's what happened to Kana. That during the time when he was fighting with Arjuna, when both of them were fighting the battle of Kurukshetra, when he was supposed to use that most valuable weapon, the last weapon for him to use against Arjuna, he forgot the mantra. He didn't know what to say. And so Arjuna was able to kill him. So in this way, this various thing may be there, but the Vedic science is very, very refined because it's learned from the tradition of Guru. It's handed down, and it's done as a perfect science. So that's why the Vedic science, either Ganu Veda, Yajur Veda, different kind of Veda, they're actually superior to any other science that is there in the world. So that of course the element must be there, just like what we have in Africa is there, but we cannot say that it's the same as the Vedic scriptures. Otherwise, all of us who came from that particular culture, how come we don't just stick to it? How come we don't just stick to that? No, because Vedic culture is very, very refined. It's there. But we don't look down on it. It's not that we are looking down on those other cultures. No. As a matter of fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur even warned against that. He said, do not think that you are better than others. don't think that your worship is better than the other worship, who may be worshiping God in the form of a tree or river or a big mountain. Do not look down upon others. So Slabafin Thakur, he gave that warning. Okay?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. We have a question in the chat room from Dr. George Amega. George Amega is asking, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I would like to know if the Pandavas are still on the earth or they are all gone back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna.
The Pandavas, they're always in the spiritual world. And when 500 years ago, when Chaitanya Prabhu came, they also came with Chaitanya Prabhu. The Pandavas, they also came with him in the form of, you have Ramananda Roy, you have Bhavananda Roy, which was actually Pandu himself. Then you have Ramananda Roy, he had the four brothers. So they're like incarnation of the Pandavas. So the Pandavas, they are eternal servants of the Lord. Whatever the law is, the Pandavas are always there. Because they are the Lord's eternal devotees. So then, they may be there. It's not that they are here, of course, they are there in the spiritual world. But if the Lord makes his appearance, they come like that. So the Pandavas are always there. And there are some, there are some some 5 trees. These trees, they're supposed to be the representation of Pandavas. So they are there in a different manifestation. Different manifestations, they are there. And actually devotees, they don't have just one form, they have many forms also. They can expand themselves in varieties of forms just for the benefit of others. Okay? Hare Krishna. I think Shiva's Prabhu is there.
Yes, Prabhu Srivas is there. Prabhu Srivas asks, I think I'll allow Prabhu Srivas first. Back to George Omega, you hold on. I think your hand is still up, but let's hear what Ms. Grace and Mashari probably want to say. So probably you can raise, you can unmute and then make your comment or question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Isvara Prabhu. Thank you for your enlightenment. That is why we're praying that COVID should not take you away.
Yes.
We don't want to lose the association. So
all of you be very, very happy if I'm gone.
No.
Such a burden on the planet. Such a burden.
No. We're praying that Krishna should protect your life. And Krishna
answered our prayers.
Yes.
Anyway.
So you still have some role to play. You still have some function in this world. That's why Krishna allowed you to stay. So
yeah, we have to say.
A lot, yeah. Anyway, I'm making a comment based on the issue you're discussing now, the question Sandy Prabhu raised concerning certain things that happen in Africa, and they are considered probably unrefined as compared to the refined Vedic culture. In my tribe, they have a ceremony which I really appreciate because it has very, very close semblance with even our spiritual tradition. Every male has to be initiated, and they have their spiritual masters. Because not just one person, but many people can be initiated to become spiritual masters. And before somebody is initiated, he has to go through a whole training program for a year. There are don'ts and do's. First, you have to observe brahmacharya for that period. If women, some few women are also added. If you're a woman, you cannot stay with your husband. If you're a married man, you cannot stay with your wife. You have to move to your guru's house and stay with him for the period of the training. And you cannot attend funerals. You can't get near a dead body for that period. No sex, no contamination. And then your food, there is no salt, no pepper. You eat food without salt, no pepper for the whole year. And they rise early in the morning, 4:30 a.m. They will go to the riverside. Whether it is cold weather, hot weather, the guru will dip them in the water. One by one, he will hold them and dip them, dunk them in the water. That's how they bath. And then they shave their heads. Of course, they put their sikha in a circular way around their heads, and they use tilak. They use clay to decorate their bodies. And for the whole 1 year, they do like that. And then there are different stages they go through for the whole year. The final initiation is interesting. They actually hypnotize them. They hypnotize them one after another. And they will come out and announce the name of the person they've hypnotized. He will be completely dead, no breathing, nothing. Then they would initiate him. Then they will bring him back to life. Then they will come back again and announce. And after they finish initiating, they do it in the night. When they finish the whole ceremony, then there is a big festival, dancing and feasting and dressing and all the things. And people give them gifts and all that. So when I came across this Krishna consciousness, I started to look at it. And I saw very close relationship. So my comment is, can we say this is Vedic or it's African?
I mean, see, there's a lot of there's a lot of close relation between Africa and India. Yeah, there's a lot of close relation. Even like just like myself being a Yoruba, you know, our traditional understanding is that the Yorubas traditionally came from the Middle East. Traditionally, that's their ancestor came from the Middle East, and the Middle, of course, part of the larger, India, it's part of the larger thing before the Islamic Christianity came. So in Africa, there's a lot of close relation there. So this is, so which means that thing you have described, so that is there, part of the body, it's, let's say, many Vedic culture, let's put that way, in some certain initiation. Like, in East Africa, you have the Maasais, their particular initiations, all these different things are there. And of course, in our place, in Ocean, whatever, they have all these different things. Where they have different in the priestly class that is there. And anyway, it's things there. But and of course, it's not so much of now, Krishna culture is different from Vedic culture, let's put it that way. Yeah. So we are following Krishna culture, not Vedic culture. Vedic culture is a progression to Krishna culture. So which means Krishna culture is based, completely transcends all other culture. You see. So I mean you have to try to get my point here. Just like we are talking about Varnashram system, for instance. Varnashram, it has its importance because it's entering Krishna culture, Krishna consciousness. So therefore, it's not so much that we want to be Indians or we want to be whatever it is. No, it's because we want to be Krishna conscious. So that's why when Prabhupada came to the West, we brought Krishna consciousness. He did not bring, Vedic culture, Indian culture. He brought Krishna consciousness. That's why I call it Krishna consciousness. You not say that, oh, I'm bringing this particular culture here. So therefore, get rid of all your culture. So which means any culture we have in the world, you can actually apply it also to be Krishna conscious. Any cultures we have in the world. which means our African culture is actually very conducive to Christian consciousness. It's very, very conducive because it's based on simplicity. It's based on simplicity. It's also based on the, the acceptance of the supreme being, of subordination to the supreme. So our African culture is based on that. So therefore, that supreme being is being brought to us through who's that supreme being? It's being brought to us through the pages of Bhagavatam. It's being brought to us through that. So that's how we can see the difference. So our African culture is there, many cultures is there. But again, Christian consciousness or Christian culture, that's what we are after. Not so much of all this other culture that is there. So that is just my rationality on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, there is so much stories about African culture in relations to Vedic culture. Actually, I was asking that question because I have a very interesting story from my great. I grew up with my grandfather, and they have these disciplic kind of things. And I remember that when my grandfather was going to die, that was in 1978, he said directly, there was one of his, we call it his friend, but he call it, it's actually his disciple. And he told him this is going to be the last person who is going to carry, because after him, there won't be any qualified person. He was not even able to initiate me into that, to teach, because my grandfather was able to, so he couldn't teach me those things. But he was saying that man, we call him his friend, but he's his disciple. And he told him, he said after him, he should not transfer that knowledge to anybody again, because there are no qualified persons that can continue. And then that's how that culture of their knowledge went away. Even I could not get it. So, but anyway, Prabhupada said 400 years ago, our great-grandfather were practicing Vedic culture, so we all know some of these things. Okay, but Prabhu, I don't know how much time you still have. It's already almost 2 hours. I'm having 3 answers up.
Mother Narayani?
Narayani? Yes. Okay, Mother Narayani, please, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, ask your question.
We cannot hear you, Narayani Mataji. Narayani, you are muted. Please kindly unmute.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhu. Thank you
Hare
for your
Krishna.
Sorry about today. I'm on the road. My daughter is not here to help me. My question is in Africa. I want to know, we have a lot of rivers in Africa that people use to curse people, and people use those rivers for justice. I want to know if those rivers are demigods.
She's talking of rivers?
See, like in an example, like in India, we have the Ganges River.
You're talking about rivers. Okay.
Yes, I'm talking about rivers. So, like India, we have all kinds of rivers and all kinds of demigods in the river. But I want to find out, in Africa, we have the same similar thing in Africa too. But my question is, those and people worship those rivers, and they use it for like justice. If I remember when I was Africa, although I was little, my mom told me a story about somebody dating somebody's husband, and the person said it's not true, and they said, oh, it's true, and this happened in publicly. So when they said that to this lady, it pains her so much, and she gets some eggs and call one of the rivers in Africa, smash it on the floor, and the lady that was saying this to her, she died. And then when she died, they have to do some, nobody can touch the body because the body was so dark. And my mom said they have to do some rituals before they can touch the body. So I want to know if those gods in the rivers, are they also demigods?
Yeah, they are demigods because there are 33 million demigods. And those 33 million demigods, they're not just in India. They're for everywhere, for the whole universe. So there are different demigods. I mean, we have Yemaja, you have, different, Shango, all these different. There are different gods. They may be called different names according to where you are in the world. In India, we call a different name in India, but in Africa, we call a different name in Africa. So the various rivers and the demigods, they are there, different parts of the world. They are there, of course they are demigods. Of course they are demigods. So the demigods are there. So
thank you, Prabhu. I have Sadev Prabhu and Ganga Prasad Prabhu's hands still up.
I can make it short.
Okay. Ganga Prasad Prabhu, please unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much. This class is interesting. In response to the sequence of questions that came lately, I just wanted to share or reawaken some understanding based on our philosophy also. The discrimination or identification, Africa, Vedic, India. I wanted to share from the scripture, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said in 4.2, that the supreme science, he called it supreme science. He didn't say it's Indian, he didn't say it's African, it was received through chain of disciplic succession. And the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That's the first point I want to establish. Second point is when Yudhishthira was made king, he had some subordinate king. He was emperor of the whole world. And the whole world was referred to as Bharatvarsha. So there was no discrimination or this identity, I'm Africa or this. The whole was called Bharatvarsha. And Yudhishthira had delegated some kings, subordinate kings, to come in this direction of Africa. Just like we had the case of the Tower of Babel. People dispersed in different directions, but with the same language, the same culture, and according to climatic variation, there was omission and commissioning. So what we have in Africa may be born out of some omission, some commission, but it is the same original Vedic culture that we are sharing. So if we can rise beyond Africa and the identification, we may have a better understanding. Because even India in 1940, before 1947, was not identified as India, nor was Nigeria before 1960 identified as Nigeria, nor Ghana. So these are modern conceptions, but we are not talking of modern things here. So I just wanted to see if we can share this understanding and have a better realization about this subject. Thank you very much.
I mean, just like during the time of Laurent, when what's his name? Was it Kundakan? Somebody has got whereby there's the connection between the South America and Brazil to India. So anyway, there is this plan. I mean, for example, the Africans were intimately connected with the South India, for example. They intimately, they call them Dravidians, actually intimately connected with the Africans. That's why we have the same complexion, and our understanding is also kind of similar. So again, as mentioned earlier, that all cultures are there, but Christian culture is different. So again, as I said, we're after Christian culture. We're not after Indian culture, African culture, this culture, or that culture. We're after Christian culture. So as the verse you have quoted, the Gita class, I mean, the verse I referred to, that this wisdom comes through to the section that got lost in the period of time. the Saint King understand it, but now it got lost. So therefore, Christians again, it's again repeating this, it's again teaching the same thing again. So, I mean, of course, we should not be so much concerned about these, these different, identification or this different discrimination. Because what happens is that devotees who are themselves, who have inborn prejudice, they tend to use this thing against other devotees. They become condescending upon others. For example, you're European, you're a white person, you call yourself Aryan, and you see others, the Africans or even the Indians, you see them as, as being below you, like that. Or you guys, I remember one of my friend devotees, a good friend of mine, he said, he's a white, but he said, oh, we're Aryans, and you are tribals. So I said to him that, where are you getting that from? He said, oh, Prabhu told us that. No, Prabhu didn't tell you that. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, Aryan means someone who understands the progressive value of life. Krishna told Arjuna that, why are you acting as a non-Aryan? Krishna is not because of his race or color of his skin, but it's the understanding that somebody who's not cultured, somebody who are acting ignorant, that's a non-Aryan. But somebody who understands the value of life, the progressive value of life, that's an Aryan, not just the race or anything like that. But because people are so ignorant, they take this to be, if I'm white or this and that, so therefore I am superior to someone who is not. But that's not the Vedic system. Otherwise, why will our Lord himself, why is he black? Krishna is black after all. The Lord is black. He's blackish. So, so there's a lot of ignorance is there, So we just simply have to make all our efforts to really remove all those ignorance. So that's why we have to be very, very deeply rooted in this understanding and be able to clear it, among the people. That yes, the Africans, what they are doing is correct, and we simply have to bring addition to it. That's this addition. What we are bringing is an addition, not because people are simply in a mode of ignorance. It's darkness. No. What we are bringing is an addition. Because after all, it doesn't matter Vedic culture, Indian culture, the understanding of Krishna Lila is not there. It's only when Bhagavatam is come, when we bring the Bhagavatam is there. But Bhagavatam is the most refined understanding of how one can be very close to God. That's what Bhagavatam is all about. So therefore, we are about Bhagavad culture, Christian culture. So and that is my thing. Okay. So, time is going, maybe, again, this can be on and on. Can we just last thing from Sadhu Prabhu and make it very short?
Sadhu Prabhu, the last question from you. Sadhu Prabhu, unmute and let's hear you.
Oh no, I think I saw Prabhu Shiva's hands up. He can speak.
Oh, Sadhu Prabhu wanted to say something. Sadhu Prabhu wanted to say something. Is Shiva? What did he say? Did somebody what did he say something?
No, I think he said.
Shiva Prabhu. Shiva Vanachari. He had his hand up.
No, I've already asked my question. I already made my contribution.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So, I think we'll stop here for today. Thank you very much for coming on to this platform. And we pray that Krishna will continue to protect. As India is getting ravaged by the COVID-19, he will continue to protect for those of the devotees who are sincerely serving him. And for those who may decide to take also, we thank Krishna because he feels they have higher service at the other side. So he's taking them. So we thank Krishna for keeping you with us, giving us opportunity to hear more from you. On this note, I will ask all of the devotees to unmute themselves now and let us chant a one powerful Hare Krishna mantra to appreciate his grace. Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
His Grace Krishna Prabhu ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare